This is so exciting. I'm pumped to have you on the show today. And here's my fear is when I like sat down, and honestly, I didn't think about it until I sat down and I put on my Zoom and my camera came on. I was like, Maria's going to come on and her hair's going to look spectacular, as it always does.
Well, thank you. I don't know if you know this, but Sinclair had a big it was like a cyber attack on all of the.
I did not know this.
So like a lot of our pre-tapes and stuff are locked up into this ransomware like craziness.
What?
So, yes. So I've had to shoot a lot of like random stuff just in case we don't get our footage back. And so like I've been having to do my hair like every day this week and my makeup. And so like every interview I've done this week is like, oh, you look great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I wish I could say like I did it just for this, but if Pav's interviews are any example, usually I'm like in a bun and like ready to go. But yeah.
Because oh my gosh, you're being held hostage.
Yes. Well, and so Sinclair has a ton of news networks. So like this news network in Detroit, I think it was Detroit, had to actually do a drawing of what the weather was going to be. And they showed that on air.
Shut up.
They don't have any of their graphics. So that's what they had to do.
God. I don't know if that's like the weirdest thing to hijack or if that's actually kind of brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know because it's so big. Like Sinclair is this humongous conglomerate.
Yeah.
And so like it's just random news stations all over the country and like then Ring of Honor wrestle. Like it's
Well,
it's very interesting.
I mean, I want to say I hope that they like get paid and that this all gets sorted out. I don't know like what like I don't know. That's that's crazy. But hey, your hair looks great. So it is what it is. When you have to have a reason to get out and get ready and like we're in like, staying at home life. It's nice to just feel like a regular person again.
Oh yeah, for sure. It like forces you to, and it forces you to get into like a regiment. And so, I guess ransomware could be a good thing. I don't know.
I feel like you are like always kind of ready to go though. Cause even like, I feel like every time I see you, you're in like, you're ready to have like that 360 presentation. But even like after like having a baby, I feel like immediately you were just like, oh, I'm still in the game, bitches. And like, I am here, did not miss a step. You've done that twice. It's very impressive.
Thank you. I have a lot of help. My mom lives 3 minutes from me.
Oh,
so
that's
like
nice.
having that is spectacular.
Yeah.
And then I also have family that will fly into town from Massachusetts and help out too. I wear a lot of baggy clothes right after giving birth. And it gives the impression, fashionable baggy clothes, but it gives the impression that, hey, but no. And showers became sacred to me after both babies.
Shit. I was just saying that to John. I was like, listen, I know like you get, I the other day I was like, he fell asleep on the couch. I was like, I'm going to take the baby. I'm just going to let him have a nice quiet nap. And like, what a gift I just gave you.
Yes.
And when I'm like, what I need is like, just give me 10 minutes in the shower by myself. No one can get to me. It is luxurious.
Yeah. It's the best. I mean, now that we have Freddie, who's 3, about to turn 4, she doesn't always take her afternoon nap. And it used to be I'd get both kids down and then I was straight to the shower. But now I don't have that. So I have to wait until Mike comes off the road. He's been doing some indie promotions here and there. And so now when he gets off the road, I don't even say hi to him. I'm literally like, he hits the door and I am up the stairs to the shower. I'm like, no, I smell like, whatever the babies were into the last couple days. Like I need
a nightmare. It's such a mess. No, it's so funny. Like just having that become your life. It is what it is. It's like you cope. You just do what you got to do. I'm like, well, I'm just going to layer up some more deodorant and hope for the best and call it a day. Dry shampoo and deodorant. Thank God.
Because it ends up being at the end of the night when everybody goes to bed. I don't want to shower. I just
No.
sit on the couch and watch something terrible, or
Yes.
just binge watch whatever mindless television.
Yeah. Oh,
Fun.
totally. What are
Yeah.
your go-to mindless television binging shows?
So I've been really into like all this international foreign television right now. I
Great.
watched Alice in Borderland. I watched Squid Games. Now I'm watching Better Than Us. So like
Yeah.
Russian television and like all these different, yeah. I'm really
Netflix has
into
really
it
been
right now.
cranking those out too, though, because they have acquired so many foreign shows that they've dubbed over. And like Squid Game's a good example of that. When I was like, oh wait, this is dubbed over. It takes a second because they're like really good dubs.
Yes. And
It's
like
impressive.
it doesn't always give you the exact same meaning, because
Sure.
like sometimes I also keep the titles, the subtitles below. So like
Yeah.
if I put the two together, then I get like a more clear understanding
That's
of what's
smart.
going on. But no, I love it. I love watching TV this way. And like it's still interesting to me, just the nuances of different cultures, and like just male female relationships, and I find it so intriguing.
Okay, I like to do just sort of like a profile on people when they come on the show and get a lot of background. And you have literally done it all. You have been in this game for a while and you have worked in like every possible promotion pretty much. You have been in every role pretty much. What was the first thing that sparked your interest to be like, wrestling is the world for me?
There was a boyfriend that I had in high school that was huge into wrestling. So I would watch wrestling with him, but that was the time of like Stone Cold and The Rock and everything. And one day I was watching it with my boyfriend at the time, and there's the Diva search. And so I entered online, and it was like dial up internet at the time. And like the form was just archaic that I was filling out online. And I had met Trish Stratus at a Stacker 2 event. And so I put her down as a reference.
That's a good reference. Good way to get in.
I was like, she probably doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but whatever. I'm doing it anyways.
Yeah.
So I did that. A couple weeks later, I see my photo. It's on Monday Night Raw. My parents had been recording all the Monday Night Raws at that time on tape at that time.
Yeah.
And just in case I was going to become a part of it. And so they were recording it. And so I rewinded it about 400 times. It was just me in like a picture in like a white bikini. And I was like, that's me. So yeah, that's how it all started. But the job that I wanted to have was a backstage interviewer. I knew that right off the get-go, just because Jonathan Coachman was a backstage interviewer at the time.
Yep.
And The Rock called him a popcorn fart. And it was like this big, like, I don't know. I just thought it was so cool. The interaction between the backstage interviewer and whoever it was they were interviewing. And it really emphasized those characters.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do. And that's really what sparked my interest in wrestling.
Interesting, because I feel like the backstage interviewer, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased here, but I feel like it's not the thing that ever gets that much love, because that is true. I mean, when there's those relationships and there's those dynamics, I mean, Mean Gene Okerlund, of course, being the absolute master of that. But like, honestly, my time in WWE, that was one of my favorite things to do too. I loved doing those backstage interviews as much as like, my time there was like, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to take on more. It wasn't that I didn't like what I was doing. I just still wanted to like branch out and do other shit. But like, I loved doing those. They were like such fun interactions and so many moments of like, yeah, I mean, whether it was with like Samoa Joe or like Kevin Owens or even like Triple H, and of course being able to like work with John in any capacity, but it was always a lot of fun. I love that. Did you enjoy your time doing that?
I did. I loved it. I mean, but it's like you said, you get to work with everybody. So, like at my time, I was still working with Flair, and I had a segment with The Rock, and I had a segment with Stone Cold Steve Austin at the time when I was managing. But like those backstage interviews with like DX and all of those guys at that time, and Edge and
Yeah,
Christian
like
and
everybody, the who's
I
who of that
interviewed, yeah,
generation.
I interviewed everyone. So it was like I got to be a part of everything. And really, it's like the basis of my wrestling knowledge is just standing there and like hearing everybody around me talking about what they were going to do later on in their
Yep.
matches or character building or talking back and forth with the writers. So it was this strange feeling of being a fly on the wall. In between takes or before we were able to film, because it was
Mhm.
always, something's going on in the ring. And so you're waiting. And during that time of waiting, I asked questions or I just listened.
Yeah. And what was some of like the best advice that you got while you were being that fly on the wall?
So, one of the best things I learned was sometimes you're going to get terrible characters, or sometimes you're going to get just bad material, or it's just not going to make sense to you. But it's all about what you do with it.
Mhm.
So, it doesn't really matter what you're given, it's how you take it. And not only was did I learn that throughout listening to everybody? Because sometimes people would get a script the moment that I started, like, got to set, they're like, "What is this?" And
Oh yeah, been there.
very happy about whatever that is. And it's just finding a way to make the most of it. And I also heard that from Trish. Trish Stratus told me at one point, it doesn't matter what they give you. What matters is what you do with it. And
Right.
it always stuck with me.
That's I mean, that is really great advice. And you saying that, I mean, that is something that I've been able to see you implement. I mean, even I mean, you and I only got to work together for a brief period of time, but when you came
Mhm.
back and you were in WWE and you guys were doing the angle with Mike and they're calling him Mike Kanellis and doing the
Yeah.
pregnancy angle and all of that. I mean, you really took that situation and made the most of it.
Mhm.
What is like your recollection of that storyline that they had you guys doing?
So, Paul Heyman was the one that started the storyline with us, and I always trusted him and I
Yeah.
trusted his vision. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, I got cut short. But I knew that if it was able to grow and to last, we'd really able to run with it. I wanted that payoff for Mike at the end. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. But
What was that payoff supposed to be?
the
Can we say?
payoff was supposed to be him turning on me at the
Mm.
very end and becoming this big baby face. And then to have that baby face run and to talk about his addiction struggles and coming back from addiction. And then I would come back from my maternity leave. And then, we could have that face to face at the end of all of that. But yeah, he was supposed to turn on me and the royal bitch I was at the time. And I was really looking forward to it because it was a great
Sure.
out. It was a
Yeah.
great, like, okay, he turned on me. I leave. Peace out, home slice. I'm gonna go get real big and pregnant, and then I'll come back. But yeah, didn't happen that way. But again, we had really fun moments. And I can say I was the first pregnant champ, so that's fun.
Yes. Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
be
always
signing
nice to
that
have a little
title.
history accolade, right? Tag that on there because that will be yours forever. Done and done.
It's so weird because, like, I'll be signing that title now for the rest of my life. I'll be 80 years old, and people will be like, "Can you sign
24/7
it? The
champ, baby.
first pregnant champ?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, my babies are now having grandbabies." Like, so weird.
That's so great. What about your guys' entrance music when you guys were coming out? Because I was definitely getting all sorts of heat.
Yeah, I loved it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. So when we were, starting to make the plans to come back, I had called William Corgan and was like, what do you think our entrance music should be? And he right out the bat was like, oh my gosh, it has to be a love ballad. And I was like, kind of iffy about it. But he called it. Like, he totally called it of what it should be. And I love that song. I wish I could take it with me.
Oh, that's gotta be so hard when you like get something that you're super attached to. You're like, damn it, this is not, I don't have the rights to this. I don't get to own it. On to the next. From when you started in wrestling, I mean, as you just listed off the who's who in the wrestling world and all the different promotions you've been able to work into what you're doing now, how much has the wrestling world changed during that time? I mean, I know that's a loaded question, but just you must have so many stories and so many different experiences.
Yeah. It's funny because I just feel like this bulldozer that's just like, nah, I don't care. I'm gonna do it this way. Nah. I just keep
Mhm.
like going. Because I remember even having long conversations way back when, on what my Playboy was going to be
Yeah.
and how I wanted it to be more fashion forward. And it was a big Cindy Crawford. Like I loved her style. And I wanted to bring more of that vibe into wrestling and to make
Mhm.
it more fashion forward and make it more pop culture-y. And so that was a fight. It was a fight even to get that, even, something so sexualized at the time as a Playboy
Yeah.
cover. It was like, no, we want it to be more sexy. And I tried to get it black and white and they're like, no, we want it to be full color. Um,
Oh,
so
oh
yeah,
my God.
it
It
was,
was full nude?
yeah, full nude.
Hell yeah, girlfriend.
But like, so there were those conversations, even about something as sexual as that.
Yeah.
And everybody talks about, oh, well, time on TV. Well, we were all fighting backstage, like to get more time on TV. It was,
Mhm.
trying to stop Vince in the hallway or stop him, meet him in his office or whatever it was to just get a couple more minutes. And I remember when one match was told, oh, well, you did too many things like the guys. And I just remember the looks on those women's faces
Yeah.
and just,
Because that
okay.
really was a thing for a while. They didn't want that wrestling style to be pure wrestling in that sense, right? Is that what they were doing? Like just too
Yeah,
much
I mean, they
actual
wanted it to
wrestling?
be, yeah, they wanted the girls to be, more girly, I guess
Mhm.
would be the
Yeah.
term for it, more feminine.
Yeah. Like cat
And
fight situations,
yeah, cat fight,
slapping, pulling
belly
hair.
fight, and none of it, I didn't mind any of it. I was playing a
Sure.
role. Like of course, I wanted more time for the women that did know how to wrestle, that did get into this because of the wrestling. But unfortunately, that just wasn't happening. So, eventually there was a little bit more and a little bit more given to us by the end. But I do remember after like after I had done Celebrity Apprentice, and I pushed hard after I had done Celebrity Apprentice, even before it came out. And I was like, no, it's going to take, more money. It's going to take more of this, more of that to get me to stay. And that's when WWE and myself went our separate ways.
Right. Right.
And it's because I wanted more freedom. I wanted to be able to have more control over my character at the time. And so it's okay. It all worked out for the best in that sense. And because of my time in Ring of Honor and other promotions, I was really able to spread my wings. And so
Yeah.
the next time I came back into WWE, I came with a lot more confidence.
Mhm.
And the wrestling world had changed so much.
Sure.
So, like, it was interesting to come back and to see how much had changed and how much was the same. But
Sure.
but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
You take what you can get and you do it inch by inch. It's not going to be overnight.
What about the differences in some of the other promotions that you've been able to work in? I mean, from Ring of Honor to working in New Japan, what are some of the key differences in transitioning into other promotions?
So when I left WWE, and as you know, with WWE, you have to pretty much stay to script, especially if you're one of the wrestlers or the talent. And so leaving WWE at 2010 and having to stick to that script, but then getting to Ring of Honor by 2011, I could do what I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't have a script most of the time to what I was going to say. And, it really was the Briscoes that let me shine and be a strong female because of the Briscoe brothers. If you're able to get into a bit of a feud with them, it really solidified that women could be strong. And I always thank them because that storyline was a moment in my career. And it was every single one of those men in Ring of Honor that supported me and allowed me to have a say, whether it be in finishes of matches or if it was the direction of the storylines. And so for me, that was the biggest difference, is being able to have so much say. Even in the guys' matches that I wasn't
Yeah.
involved with, they would, ask me for advice. And so that was amazing, like to have that experience. And then going to New Japan and being treated like so respectfully. And I had up my old locker room a lot of times because I was the only female on the show. And sometimes my locker room would be bigger than the guys. And so I'm like inviting people
Come on in.
This is awkward.
Yeah.
Like, please, like, this locker room's huge. Like, please come and join. And like, if I needed anything, they took care of me.
Mhm.
Because I was the first female they had that was consistently on television in a while.
Yeah.
And that was consistently doing shows with them. So like for me, it was this weird experience of, oh, I'm so excited to be here. But then they were like so just respectful of me being there. So we were like bowing at each other like multiple times.
Constantly.
Like, yes, thank you, and thank you. And like, but yeah, it was great. And then Impact, that was a whole nother ball game because I had the support of the entire writing staff, including Madison, who she just, she did such incredible things for me as far as confidence. And, you know, and having Gail Kim there and being able to, you know, run ideas past her, and having David Lagana and Billy Corgan there again, it was like, they just let me run with it.
That's
And
so
they
cool.
had such good like direction, but I just went out there and they were like, okay, you got 5 minutes. And I was like, anything else? They're like, no, just go. And so I would go out there with a microphone and be like, okay, I guess I'm feeling 5 minutes.
That's a lot of pressure to like strike the balance between like, you know, what can be like sort of a rigid situation in WWE of like, here's your script, stick to it. Here you go, learn it, get out there, go nail it. And then having the other stuff is like completely blank canvas and do what you want to do. Like that's a tall order. Because then, I mean, then truly, if you fall on your face, it's your fault. Yes. Yeah. Like, did you feel that pressure?
Okay. If I'm being honest, I was just so angry with WWE and how things had gone. And you know, just wanting to be respected at that time. Now I'm not angry, but when I was going through things with Ring of Honor and New Japan and Impact, I was angry.
Yeah.
And like that anger, I was like, no, I'll figure it out. You know, it's just, it gave me so much motivation. You know, and I'm not saying that was good motivation or bad motivation, but it certainly helped me a lot to find the words that I wanted to say at that time.
Yeah, to be concise and be impactful and like just to really make your point and go out there and use that platform to like say your shit. You got to put a lot of thought into that to just like nail it, get it out there in a nice little package.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to prove myself.
Yeah.
And that was the thing is like every time I was out there, no matter what company it was like, no, I can do this. You told me I can't, but now I can. And now I'm going to.
How much does that mess with your confidence of having people want to doubt you? You know, then getting into WWE and that not working out the way that you want it to work out, the release between you and Mike. What was that like for you guys kind of during that time, during the COVID situation? You've got 2 little babies at home. Like what was going on?
It was the weirdest, like, so it was just like you were, it was almost like a pinball machine or something. It was like, okay, I just had a baby. And then 8 weeks later, we're released. And now we're in COVID time. And, you know, it's just, it was all this like back and forth. And it was trying to just find your center and all of it because you were mad because you had to stay home all the time. You were mad because there weren't any places to work because of and like, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm so angry or I need a job or I'm so motivated to get, and then go out there and work house shows. You couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then
I couldn't even go do signings. You can do anything.
Couldn't do anything. So there's all this energy that you have. And so you can't do that. And for me, I was eight weeks postpartum. So like,
Yikes.
Got the call from Mark Carano when I was driving home from my son's 2-month checkup. Yeah.
Oh my God.
My son was sleeping in the back seat. And so it was just this weird, like, convolution of emotions and like, so it took a while to like really start to settle down.
Yeah.
Cause you know, you don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knew what was going to happen with COVID.
Mm-mm.
And so finally our contracts were up in July. And so finally we were like, okay, we've got to start figuring out what we were going to do. And so we started reaching out, and like we had already been reached out to by a lot of promotions,
Mhm.
just like a, hey, when things get back, we'd like to, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
So Mike started going back out there, which was terrifying because it was
Sure.
like, okay, he's going out there. There's this virus that we don't know enough about. And, you know, I'm home with a newborn and a 2-year-old. So, you know, he started going back out there little by little, but because Ring of Honor did such a good job of, you know, protecting everyone, we had this bubble, everyone was tested like 3 times. You were tested before you left the house. um, I felt a lot safer. And so then the time came where they called me, and they were like, you know, we have this idea for you. And I was like, okay, I have an idea too. You guys don't have a women's division. And they said, that's our idea.
Yeah.
And so we are like, they had the idea of me coming in and producing the women's division. And I wanted to come in and produce the women's division. So then it was just timing. Um, and once I knew that was happening, that was like, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. But up until then, it was just ping ponging back and forth of like, okay, what direction are we going to go? But I'm so glad that we landed where we did.
Certainly. And now to be able to see everything that you're doing and being at the pinnacle of the women's division there, what are all the things that you want to achieve? What do you want the women's division to be there?
So, I would really just like for it to not be kind of like a special event every time women have matches. I would just
Mhm.
like it to be part of the show.
Yeah.
You know, I would really like whole characters. We get very into these boxes of women can only be strong, or women can only be weak, or women can only be this or that. And I want to get out of that habit. I've really tried to, you know, tell my girls to, you know, tell me more of your story. Let's get it out there. Let's get more of the person you are, because the person you are is amazing. It's just a matter of letting everybody know who you are. So that's another piece of it for me. Right now, we just have the Women's World Championship. I'd like to get a tag championship out there. I'd also like to have a pure division, because pure wrestling is becoming such a huge thing as far as the men are concerned. And so now I'd like to bring more of that with our women's division. We have a lot of good women for that. So those type of things, I would like to have an all women show at some point. That's like a pay-per-view. We do have an all women show right now. I think we're at week 24 of doing it. It's every Wednesday. It's Women's Division Wednesday. So I want to keep that going. I'd like to have 2 or 3 matches a week rather than just 1 match a week. So there's a lot of different things out there, but the biggest thing to me is to make the women's characters more whole, and to make them, you know, more well-rounded.
Is there anyone that you see that is doing a good job of pulling that off right now?
You know, there's several women that I think are doing that. I think that Trisha Dora is fantastic.
Mhm.
She has done a fantastic job of telling her story, but then also being a badass in the ring.
Yeah.
And I love that she has a cause, and she's able to keep that out there while she's building this amazing career. So I think she is definitely one of them, that's doing a good job of it. Willow is probably one of the best promos that's out there right now, because she's just Willow. You know, she just, you know, and it doesn't matter if you're talking to her backstage or if you're talking to her in the ring, but that's just who she is. And it's more real to me than it's ever been, when it, as far as, you know, her promos. And I really like that. And I'm also trying to blend reality with wrestling. You know, not so much that it takes away from the matches themselves, but to where when you're watching a show, it's almost like you're watching your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed. And it feels more like a camera should be there rather than, why is there a camera?
Yep. Yep. We're telling a secret backstage, but look out.
And my producer that my camera operator and producer that does all of the backstage segments, he's fantastic with that, but it's definitely something that we're focused on. His name is Zane, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but like, oh my gosh, I have a fantastic team.
Speaking of doesn't get the credit they deserve, I think that that's something that really kind of describes you. I feel like you are somebody, I mean, as we've just been saying during this interview, it's like you obviously work so damn hard at what you do, and you are not deterred by a no or a roadblock or whatever. You find a way. If the door is closed, you find a window that's open, you find a crack in the wall, you're going to figure that shit out. And then working every different promotion, working in so many different positions within the world of professional wrestling. Do you think that you get the respect that you deserve? I know the answer is obviously hell no, but talk to me about this. Why do you think that is? I don't get it.
So Mike and I always joke that we're not the cool kids. And I feel like that's part of it. But that's okay to me. Like, I never really cared about that. I didn't care about being, popular. And for me, it's about, putting the best product out there, but also supporting as many humans as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And sometimes while you're doing that, you piss people off. And sometimes while you're doing that, you go in a direction that people are afraid of. And that's okay to me. I grew up with a father that was very loud and very harsh at times. And so nobody scares me like my father did when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go up against these different roadblocks or these no's or whatever, that doesn't affect me. And so I'm willing to do it because I know that there's a bigger purpose behind it. And I enjoy creating those opportunities. And so if I don't get the credit, it's okay, because I see other people succeeding, and that's really important to me.
I feel like there are little glimpses. I mean, like, I know, when you came back, you said you were working with Paul Heyman, and I know there was an interview that he was doing, and he was talking about you being such a creative, clever mind in the world of wrestling. So, I mean, to have somebody like Paul Heyman be able, I mean, obviously he sees that in you. What was your working relationship like with him when you came back?
It's funny because I still work with him and like I ask him stuff. And I still like, I want his feedback. I want to know what he thinks. When I started in wrestling, I worked originally down in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and Paul was writing the show.
Yeah.
So he invited me to come early and to read the script and to see what he had planned out for other people. And I was dating Punk at the time. So it was the both of them that I was literally getting an education on wrestling, the history of wrestling, like every part of wrestling. I was learning from both of them. And so, I've always had a fantastic relationship with him. And do we butt heads? Of course we do. But I think that's what I like, is that he's a person that will challenge me on something. And he also thinks like I can conquer mountains. And so I do.
Best. He really is, when he believes in you, and he like, cause I've had conversations like that with Paul as well. I mean, I've always really enjoyed working with Heyman, and he has given me great advice throughout my career, but he really is that motivated. You're like, you're damn right I can go do this.
Yeah.
He's so good at pumping you up to just go conquer whatever the hell happens to be in front of you.
Yeah. I said to him the other day, I was like, I hope I'm doing a good job. I hope I'm successful. And he's like, you already are. And I was like, yeah, I am.
You're damn right. You're damn right. How do you have time to do everything that you're doing? Because you also have other businesses as well, right?
Yeah. So there's a bot that I own that just does.
Just like that Homer Simpson pecking bird on the laptop.
Yes, I have that. So Mike is a huge supporter of everything that I do. And we work really well together. The kids also, they go to daycare a couple of days a week. My mom is right down the road from us and she helps out. So it's a team effort. And without everybody helping, there's no way to do this. I mean, and there was this quote that I heard that it was Shonda Rhimes, and she said, "I'm always failing at something," and that's how I feel. She was talking about having kids and then also having a career, and I'm always failing at something. I mean, right now, my wedding
Hard to
business,
keep that ball afloat. Good
yeah,
God.
it's like, this one, and you have to choose like what is the most important thing at this moment. And
Mhm.
so I always try and make sure I have a couple of hours before bed with the kids, and that is devoted to them. No phones, no nothing. And I, try and do that whenever I can. And then, as far as like, I wake up so early. I'm up at
What time
4.
do you,
I,
4? Whew.
yeah.
What time do your kids get up?
So usually everybody is up by 5:30, 6 o'clock. So like,
Early
um,
risers. Whew.
yeah, they are. Oh my God. I don't know what had happened. Like I did everything that you're supposed to do. We have a routine and like all this stuff. No, my kids 8 o'clock at night and we'll be up at like 6:30 if I'm
Yeah.
blessed and lucky and made them run a marathon before bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wake up early. And like for the first like half hour to hour, usually it's just me in bed, like checking emails and doing all of that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't always get everything done. I just try and do my best.
I mean, yeah. Just wrestling alone makes like you're super, super busy. So
Mhm.
it's like the wedding business,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Didn't you have like a floral company as well?
So that's what it
The
is.
same.
So yeah, it's the same. And I don't do a lot of weddings. I haven't since COVID. Like everybody
Sure.
shut down and I just really haven't gone full force back into it. So I take a couple here and there. Usually it's through friends. Rather than trying to do a full schedule with that and then also producing the women's division. It gets to be too much. I
Whew.
do love it though, because your brain can just go somewhere else and
Totally.
you don't have to think about,
Yep.
wrestling or whatever. But yeah, I don't do a whole lot of weddings right now.
Talk to me about working with Mike. You guys have worked together for some time. You've done so many different things together. Why does that working relationship work so well between the two of you?
Because he always compliments me and I always criticize him.
Perfect.
No, I mean, so we just we know each other's buttons and we know not to push them, and we're best friends. I mean, first and foremost, that's what we are. I don't know what would happen, like if for some reason we couldn't be together or whatever. I would lose my best friend too.
Yeah.
And I enjoy his company. He's just fun to hang out with. And he knows that sometimes I just need someone to listen, and he's
Mhm.
really, really good at it. And then he also knows that he needs a kick in the butt sometimes, and that's what I do. And so it's this nice, nice working relationship. And we also like we don't take offense to work stuff at home. Like that's work. Okay, that's great. But and I love wrestling. Love the wrestling industry. But at the end of the day, how many years of my life is that going to be in comparison to how many years am I going to live?
Yeah.
And I still want to have a marriage whenever I decide to
Yeah.
retire.
It would be nice.
Yeah, again, I love wrestling, I do, but at a certain point, nobody wants to see me in tight clothes anymore with the full, it's just not. Um, and at some point, it's gonna have to be passed along to someone else. And so, yeah, I still want a marriage after that. And so we always try and remember to take care of our marriage first.
I mean, you guys have been very open about Mike's addictions. I mean, we did an interview in WWE years ago talking about that. How has that journey been for you? I mean, I've talked to Mike and had that conversation with him when we did that interview, but with you being his spouse, what is that like for you being on that journey?
Uh, I was actually just talking about this. So the first part of his recovery, I shut off. Like I was just like, okay, we are going to get you through this and you're going to live and we're not going to lose our jobs. And, so it was a lot of that. Plus I was pregnant. And so it was like, I was pregnant and he was
It
going
all
through
happened at
recovery.
once. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he told me he had this painkiller addiction. And then 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I was like, oh shit. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I had to really shut my brain and my emotions down completely and just like power through. And then have Freddie and we're happy new parents and trying to navigate that. And then we find out we're pregnant again and a lot of crap happened. But I think now is actually the first time that I've realized what effect his addiction and his recovery had on me.
Yeah.
And so that's something like, that's part of the reason why I'm so dedicated to Tag Me In and to the mental health initiative is because you don't know when those things are going to creep up on you. Like all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, I need to deal with me now. Like, all right, what did this mean for my life and my career? Because I spent 4 years of my life taking care of an addict and I didn't even realize I was taking care of an addict. And those are some of, the best years of my life,
Yeah.
as people like to say. I don't think that they were, but, I was early 30s at that point. And then it was like baby and then baby. And I didn't really think about me. And so now I am. And, it's weird how that hits you.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, like you said, for it to come in waves like that, because I feel like as the woman as well, and I'm just kind of putting on like my own hat if I were in a situation like this, but like we can be very like, let's take care of everybody else except for
Mhm,
me. I will put my head down and we're going to just get through this any way that we can. And
mhm.
then, yeah, once you kind of come up for air again and take a look around, it's like, holy shit, how did this affect me?
Yeah.
The
It's like you go on a trip with all the kids and you bring everything for them, and then you're like, "Oh shit,
pack
I
my
don't
own
even have
bag.
any underwear."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that I think happened for many years. And so now I'm dealing with it. Um, but it helps me to work.
Mhm.
It helps me to, start telling the story of like, yeah, it's okay. After helping someone with their own addictions, their own recovery, their own mental health, it's okay to now start focusing on yourself and to take care of yourself. And so I've been trying to do more of that, like
What does
planning,
that yeah, what does that look like for you, taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself?
getting out of my house. Like I was so afraid of, leaving my kids with anybody for the longest time. And I was so afraid of not taking care of me. And so recently I've started planning trips to like go to Florida and do some photo shoots and also spend a couple of days on the beach
Yeah.
or go to the city and get a massage or stuff like that where I can just turn everything else off and focus on me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm reconnecting with people too, reconnecting with friends. It'd
Do
be
you
like,
feel like COVID has been better for that or worse for that, for you to feel like to take a second to really connect with people?
so I don't know. I mean, I feel like um I didn't really know how to communicate with people when we first started coming out of this thing. It's like so awkward.
I know.
It's like, I still feel awkward though. But yeah, I feel like that was a big part of it. And also like you don't know what people believe anymore. And
Right.
so you're like,
Right.
okay, I'm tiptoeing around this topic that's literally an elephant in the room.
Mhm.
And that's been real weird. But what it has taught me is like I'll just play the middle. And if you're my friend, you're my friend. And that's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. And I feel like all this time off and like really starting to focus on family again and friendships and all of that has just given me a lot more understanding of human beings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Tag Me In initiative, and it's so important to have these conversations and keep talking about these situations in our mental health and what is going on with everybody. I think I don't want to say especially in the world of wrestling, but I do think it is important for these wrestlers and people that are these larger than life personalities to show those vulnerabilities and show who you are as human beings. What is the status of your mental health right now?
I'm the happiest I've ever been. So like, I think it's weird because the other day I was driving in the car and I was like, I'm really happy. Like my kids are to a place where they aren't screaming every 2 seconds. Like it's every, 5 at this point. And they're in a really good place. They like their daycare. They like their routine. My husband's doing really well. Like he's starting to get the accolades he deserves. And he's totally switched up his wrestling. And so now he's, doing the wrestling he wants to do. And so he's happy. And so I'm actually able to like self-reflect at this point because everybody else is taken care of. So no, I'm really happy. I feel like for the first time I'm doing the job that I was meant to do.
That's got
And
to feel amazing.
yeah, like it's the job I fought for.
Yeah.
I fought for this job for a long time. I asked for it in WWE the last time I was there. I was told no. And this is the job that I wanted. I wanted the job of producing female talent, producing a division, really starting to tell their stories. So for me, that's so fulfilling. That yeah, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
What a great answer. What a great answer. But
I don't know if that makes me sound terrible, but like
no,
I am.
no, but like, yeah, you're doing the thing that you want to do. And I mean, even though there's other shit that's going on in the world, but that doesn't take away from like the years and years of work that you have been putting yourself in to now finally be able to be in a position to be in the position that you want to be in. Like that deserves a lot of recognition because it is a lot of work. And it's not that thing that just comes overnight. You can't just knock on someone's door and go, this is a thing that I want to do, because it just doesn't work like that. So to be able to have finally the right people to support you and back you up and see the value that you're bringing to this job is awesome. And yeah, it's all those years of work that have put you in that spot. It's very, very cool.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like that overnight success thing, like the myth of overnight success.
Exactly.
It's like 17 years of that.
Yeah.
Of taking a little bit and learning from everyone and putting it all together. And I went to college for event management too. So like that helps with one piece of it, the production aspect of it. And then, the years and years of wrestling and being terrible wrestler, but wrestling, that helps with that part of it. So it's all of those things over those 17 years that I feel like got me here. But yeah, it's a good place to be.
Hell yeah. Well, I know doing the Tag Me In initiative was something that is important to you. And, again, you've been able to see so many things, the ups and downs of everything in the wrestling world. Why do you think it's so important now for the wrestling community to really be involved in the mental health space?
So, initially when I started connecting with all the, like the core group that came together for Tag Me In, it was after Ashley Massaro passed away.
Yeah.
And that's when we all started reaching out to each other. I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? Can I support you in some way? And because of that, like many of us still talked after that. And then when Daphne passed, we're like, we got to do something. And, she brought us all together. And I didn't know Daphne well. But the people that did, they loved her.
Yeah.
And, my partner that helps me with the women's division, Bobby Cruz, was very close to her. And just seeing him in agony like that. I mean, wrestlers, they have so many people that care for them, but they can't always see it. And sometimes it takes us all coming together and saying, yes, it's okay to express your feelings or to see someone else do it. it helps. It helps to come together as a community because, as you said, we're larger than life characters. So
Mhm.
how could you have some deep dark secret? How
Yeah.
could you have, a mental health problem? How could you be sad? You have so much, that's the opinion, but in reality is that part of it, the celebrity part of it sometimes can feed into the mental health aspect of it,
Sure.
the fear of losing it, or the fear of, am I not going to live up to these expectations? And I know for me that still happens, that still creeps in. It's like, am I living up to the hype?
Yeah.
And so to see other people talking about it, I know for me, just seeing Chris Jericho talk about it. I mean, someone like that I grew up watching,
Mhm.
um, it affected me in a real way. And so that's why it's so important to me. And that's why I think it's so important to the wrestling community, not just the wrestlers, but the fans that watch too,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
maybe this will open it up to them to start talking about it, to tag someone else in and say, no, I need help. Can you help me? Um, so yeah, I mean, I hope that this continues to grow. I hope that we can do more for people that have mental health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, like you can see, yeah, the larger than life characters, and you don't really know what these people are going through. And you're right, it's reaching out to the fans and letting them see, and either, kind of bridging that gap there, but also for them to realize just like the amount of pressure that is put on these people. They're just people.
Mhm.
And you see some like nasty, nasty stuff online, and it just is, sometimes the expectation can just be so so high that we put on people, and it's just not fair. It's a lot. It's hard to avoid it. As much as you can say don't read that, don't look at it, whatever, like be above it, it's
Mhm.
impossible to do that.
Yeah, I mean, social media is part of our business.
Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, it's a great
Yeah.
way to connect, but at the same time, are you connecting with the right people or the
Yeah.
people with the right intentions?
Yeah.
And maybe this will humanize some of the superstars, and make some of the fans that say those nasty comments. I have all my filters on. I had
Oh,
to.
me too. I love a good quality filter.
Yeah, I
Give
I
me
have
all
all of
that.
them on, and I block people consistently. And so, I just hope that the fans that, think about commenting or making a nasty comment realize people are human. Wrestlers
Mhm.
are human beings, and it does have an effect. No matter if you
Yeah.
want it to or not, it does have an effect.
Yeah.
And so I hope that we're starting to change the conversation. I hope this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I'm happy that the conversation has at least, not that it's just started, but that it's more out there, making it more of a prevalent conversation. Um well, look, I mean, I've been able to take up a bunch of your time today, and I really appreciate it. But the
Okay.
last thing I wanted to ask you, just because you've done it all, and you just said you're in the best spot that you could possibly be. What else do you want to do? What else is on your bucket list? I feel like you are a person that has a vision and you've got ideas for things that you want to do. What else is left on there?
Hmm. Um, so we're talking consistently about unity in the wrestling industry right now. And we've seen so much crossover between different companies, and we've seen, that everybody is friendly and everybody does want to work together. Um, I'd like to see more of that. And I'd
Yeah.
like to see a show that was based on that. And I don't know how it gets done, but
You just
I
call it
know
the forbidden door and see what happens.
I would like a festival that is based on the idea of unity and just all coming together, and just make it a huge party of wrestlers and music and atmosphere, and just to celebrate wrestling.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing for sure. I'd like to see the Ring of Honor women's division work more with other companies. I was just on a call with Gail and Mickey talking about tag me in, and we were all talking like, how can we work together
Yeah.
more? And so we're going to consistently try and figure out those ideas of working together more. So I think it's that. And I'm still a crusader for getting a union at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, and now everybody's going to take that and go, you can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. Unions can have levels, and I truly believe that. And I truly believe that every company does not need to be a part of it in order for it to work for everyone. And I think that, to have that insurance and that assurance that we're all being taken care of would be nice.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that, we're making those steps to get to that place. And if it takes 10 more years, it takes 10 more years. That's okay. I'm very patient. But I think it's necessary at some point.
Yeah.
And again, it's not across the board. It's just the idea of having those practices in place.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that agree with you that would love to see those fall into place. And
Mhm.
hopefully at some point they do. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people that could benefit from that.
Mhm.
And let's just hope that those wheels can start to get in motion and maybe we can see that fall into place sooner than later. Hopefully it doesn't take a decade, but again, if it does, it does. It's fine, but
Yeah.
it's something in the right direction. Okay. So everything's going on with Ring of Honor. Where can people catch it? What are the spots?
So if you want to watch Ring of Honor on your television, then you have to check your local affiliates with Sinclair Broadcasting Systems. But every single Wednesday, we have Women's Division Wednesday. Usually we have one match. We also have Beyond the Bells on that, which Alyssa Marino and then also Lufisto are my co-hosts on that. It's so much fun. And we talk about women's wrestling, not just in Ring of Honor, but we also talk about it throughout the entire world. So I'm really proud of it because it's an all women show. It's been happening for about 23 weeks right now, and we're just continuing to see that thing grow.
Hell yeah. For more Ring of Honor, are we going to see like drawings of wrestling should the tapes not resurface from them being held hostage?
I don't know. I'll be like, okay, and now this is a suplex. See, this is what the Hex did to the Allure. They did this. Like, I don't know. Like,
oh my God. Hand over the tapes, you cowards.
It's so crazy. It's like a national story. Like it was on like CNN and like it's just crazy.
Absolutely bonkers. All right, cool. Well, guys, make sure you check out Ring of Honor. Make sure you're checking out all things that Maria Kanellis is working on because this chick, she's going places, believe it or not. She's doing it all.